Hello, I'm Senior Meteorologist Angus Hines here at the Bureau of Meteorology with the latest information on severe tropical cyclone Zelia, as we have had a fresh track come out at 9 a.m. Australian Western Standard Time. This is the satellite loop of the tropical cyclone from this morning, and we can see this well-defined eye right here in the centre. And we typically only see an eye like this when we're talking about a severe Category 3 tropical cyclone or stronger, and in this case we are talking about a Category 4 tropical cyclone just here north of the Pilbara coast. This dot on the map is Port Hedland, so the current location of the centre of the cyclone is about 120 kilometres north-northwest of Port Hedland, and it is moving very, very slowly at about 5 to 10 kilometres an hour in a south-westward trajectory. We can see the symmetry of this system showing us it's an organised and powerful tropical cyclone that will play a significant role in the weather across this part of the country in the next few days. Speaking of where it's going to affect, let's look at the latest tropical cyclone track now. As I say, this was just updated at 9 a.m. Western Australia time, showing us the current location of the tropical cyclone here in blue north of the coastline. A couple of things I really need to point out. Firstly, it is forecast to intensify further into a Category 5 tropical cyclone today, and Category 5, that is the top of the scale. It doesn't get any worse than that. That is the most powerful tropical cyclone you can get, and it is forecast to be a Category 5 system as it approaches and crosses the coast on Friday. The current forecast is for a crossing on Friday afternoon, perhaps around 5 or 6 p.m. Australian Western Standard Time. Now, compared to the earlier tracks, there has been a slight shift westward of the forecast crossing location. That means it is forecast to move a little bit away from Port Hedland, which has been the main area in the firing line, and potentially cross a little bit closer to Karratha. That may mean that Karratha could see some more significant and severe impacts than what had been expected over the last couple of days. As a Category 5 tropical cyclone approaching and crossing the coast, we've got a broad tropical cyclone warning that runs all the way from Bidyadanga here near Broome right down to Dampier, with our key focus areas being Port Hedland, Karratha and Dampier. And as this tropical cyclone approaches and crosses, it will bring an array of significant weather impacts. Firstly, the wind will be extremely strong. Across the wide scale, we could see winds of 80 to 120 kilometres an hour, but near the crossing point, those winds could be as high as 200 kilometres an hour, with gusts up to 290 kilometres an hour. Really hard to fathom wind of that strong, but if we do see winds of 290 kilometres an hour, that is strong enough to take out complete houses, trees, power lines, and cause widespread damage and disruption. Along with those destructive winds, we also anticipate some significant rainfall, and in fact we've already started to see the rain building across this area here. This is the radar imagery from the last hour or so. A couple of things I'd like to point out. Firstly, this tight little circulation here, that is the eye of the tropical cyclone, about, as I say, 120 kilometres north of the coast at the moment. But secondly, just look at the extensive falls at the moment stretching from Wallal Downs to around Roebourne or Wickham. We've already seen some locations get well in excess of 100 millimetres of rain, and up towards 200 so far, with a lot more on the way, particularly for coastal areas. That rain will fill in the rivers, and there has been some flood watches issued across northwestern WA. The areas in blue here through the Kimberley and Pilbara are our flood watch regions, with our key areas of concern being the De Grey River catchment and the Pilbara coastal rivers right out to the far northwest of the country. Just back to the track map for one final point, because storm surge could be significant, as we could see greatly elevated tides at coastal locations near and east of the crossing point, including around Port Hedland. At high tide tomorrow night, Friday night, potentially we could see some areas with tides about a metre above the normal high tide level, maybe even more than that, and that can inundate low-lying coastal roads and properties and cause significant flooding across waterfront and coastal areas, as well as around the ports and your boats. So there's a lot to pay attention to over the next few days. Anywhere along northern WA, it is definitely worth keeping up to date with the weather forecasts and warnings. And of course, the local emergency management have got a direct line to the tropical cyclone forecasters here. They know the latest information and they know the best way to act on it. So the number one piece of advice is to listen to and follow what your local emergency management have got to say. Thanks for watching. Stay safe.